Twilight's Nightmare, Chapter 29, Part 8. A shock of two of Elytron's senses ripped through the veil of sleep. Her horn reported the pulse of a powerful teleport arriving. Her emotional senses noted a bright sense of joy and worry, with a worry winning by a large margin.
Mommy, the moon is late.
A young filly's voice shattered the last hope of continuing her peaceful sleep. Something stirred in the bed behind her. It was Twilight, her idle embrace still pinning Elytron like a soft vice.
Oh, my little star.
Twilight's loving voice spoke. She was completely unabashed. The scent and appearance that would give away their activities didn't even register to Twilight's concern.
The moon is late. Is Mommy Luna gonna be alright?
Cold anger and determination filled the room from Twilight's emotions. A moment later, it seems another pony was in the room. Confusion and then a huge burst of fear, protective love, and hate suddenly shot through Twilight. To Elytron's senses, it was like a double shot of coffee and being thrown into a winter's lake. Burning rage jumped in, drowning every other emotion in the room. Elytron wanted to hiss and growl as it started to resonate in her. Searing pain snapped her mind clear as flames erupted from Twilight's mane, jarring the bed. She screamed as the flames started to burn into her coat. Twilight turned rapidly to Elytron, the flames dying in an instant as the second two sets of emotions disappeared almost as quick. She carefully released her hold, sparing a moment to inspect her wounds. The young filly's horn glowed, and the pain instantly vanished. A cooling sensation rolled over the wound. Elytron let her eyes fall closed as her body relaxed.
Thank you, my little star. Go back and guard the castle.
Twilight commanded in a firm tone.
Emerald, I am sorry for hurting you. Come back to the castle later, and I will make things right.
Twilight got up gracefully and stood. A single feather traced tenderly over her, avoiding the burns. Elytron cracked open her eyes. Twilight was now standing, wearing blood-red armor and wing blades. Little Star was standing on the bed.
Solar magic on the moon.
Twilight's eyes narrowed dangerously as her horn lit. The princess disappeared in a huge burst of magic. Elytron recoiled and almost fell off of the bed. The emotions, the magic, it was just all too much for her senses. When the numbing and cooling spells wore off, she knew that she could add intense pain to the mix too.
Bye, Mom's friend.
Little Star said, teleporting away herself, thankfully with barely a ripple compared to Twilight's departure. Elytron lay back down in the bed. Last night, the pulse of emotion was making her feel dizzy, and the little bit of the love that she absorbed was lovely. But the rest, though, made her feel ill.
Alicorns are a different and dangerous meal.
She let her eyes close, and reached out with her mind to the hive.
Speak!
The mental voice of her mother, the Queen, answered the connection. Two forces warred within her, the Queen's instruction and something else, something new. Elytron tried to answer, tried to inform her Queen about everything that happened, but not a single word formed. No images were sent. It felt like a weight had settled upon her neck. The more she tried to let her Queen know her report, the more she found that she couldn't say anything. The more she tried, the more her mind shut down.
Useless drone.
Pain lanced through Elytron's body as the physical rebuck caused her to convulse. The mental connection was violently closed, adding a migraine to her woes.
What the fuck is wrong with me?
Elytron said with dawning horror.
What did she do to me?
Problems with being tardy. Celestia was perturbed. Luna was late. Given her sister's growing relationship with her former student and all the effort her sister was putting into tracking down those who had attacked Twilight, she was no longer meeting at their usual place to tend to their celestial duties. Celestia glanced at the hourglass, watching the grains of sand slip from top to bottom. It was such an ingenious invention to tell time. She watched each grain fall one by one. She let her eyes close, listening to the sounds that they made rubbing against each other and scraping against the glass. She sighed. Her mask didn't stop her, so there was likely no pony around to see her display of discontentment. It was time. If she left it any longer, ponies would notice and start to panic or think Luna was once more Nightmare Moon, and was gonna try to bring eternal night. She would have to deal with the moon herself. Her golden magic reached out, the moon seeming to struggle. The freezing chill of its magic recoiled from the blazing warmth of Celestia's.
Please, the sooner this is done, the sooner I can see how Luna fares.
She thought. There was a moment of what felt like indecision from the moon. A moment later, it solemnly let itself be lowered. Celestia could feel the moon's dislike for her. It seemed to loathe the touch of her magic, but for Luna's sake, it relented.
Thank you.
She mentally sent to the moon, truly glad that she didn't need to spend the magic to wrestle the moon into submission. Raising the sun to its place was simple. The burning orb of light was eager to do her bidding. The warm rays of its light raced all over the land. Celestia let her senses ride with the line of dawn, her view sweeping over all of Equestria and beyond. She felt her body let out a relieved sigh. She could happily spend all day warming her body in the rays of her sun, scrying about as her whims took her. There was an outdoor musical concert scheduled in Trottingham later that she could watch, or maybe she might follow the family of phoenixes flying over there. She idly wondered if she should make sure her next student got a phoenix egg, not a dragon's. Phoenixes never got as large as dragons and were so much easier to keep in the palace. She noticed a group of fillies playing at a lake. Celestia smiled. It was very early for them to be up, but she spent a little of her power to make the sunlight a little warmer, a little more comfortable for them. Daybreaker's not-so-polite mental shove snapped her attention back to her body. Blinking once, she focused on the view from her balcony.
Your sister.
Daybreaker coolly stated.
Yes.
Celestia sighed, yet again. It was going to be one of those days. Celestia began her stately stride. Long practice at it meaning her mask didn't even need to adjust a single motion of her body. Stepping into the more public areas of the palace, she could feel her mask take a grip of her facial features. She must have been frowning. Last time her pony saw her doing that, it caused panic buying of food and a run on the banks. She wanted to stomp her hoof and snort in anger. Daybreaker's laugh didn't help her mood one single bit.
You chose this path, your radiance. It is what my ponies needed.
Daybreaker scoffed.
And what do you need? Nothing. My duty sustains me.
Celestia could feel her mask exerting more control, stopping her body from slumping and keeping her from dragging her hooves.
Admit that you're jealous of your sister. You know exactly what she's done with that hybrid that she claimed. Be that as it may, I cannot let it affect me or my duties. One of these days, you'll find out that you've sacrificed everything and the ponies will just demand more.
Celestia ignored Daybreaker's last comments, shifting her attention to browsing the minds of the ponies around her. She took in their reactions to her, their idle thoughts, and seeking anything they knew about the current situation with Luna and Twilight. There was a lot of rumors, ideas, and crazy theories. A few thought Twilight was manipulating Luna, using her situation as her savior to seduce her. Others thought that Luna had used her dream magic or some sort of mind control to snare the asexual bookish mare. Most were just happy for them. That thought managed to creep the barest of honest smiles past her mask. She idly wondered what story that one slip of her expression would be spun into by tomorrow. As she drew nearer to Luna's section of the palace, she began getting more useful information. Luna's guards were standing at attention and physically looking their respectful military force. Their minds were anything but. Their minds were on one last night's events, one Moonstone striker earning a big payday from his bets as Luna had elevated Candace to one of her blessed. Celestia would have missed a step if not for her mask smoothing her gait. The night guard knew Luna was currently in bed with her newest Night Chosen. Anger flared in her. Her sister had caused her to worry and have to raise the moon because she wanted yet more carnal pleasure. Outrageous, she was even getting married to her Twilight. Daybreaker chuckled.
Tell me what you find so amusing, Warmind.
Celestia veiled the threat to strip Daybreaker's personality, and it didn't go unnoticed.
My apologies, your radiance.
Daybreaker apologized sincerely.
I was merely amused that your sister's nature can still cause such reactions in you. How long have you known her? Do you truly expect her to change?
Celestia made her way to the doors to Luna's room. A simple sound barrier was another part of the week's magical budget spend, but it was necessary. Lifting her hoof, Celestia pounded on the door. Only its magical reinforcements kept it from shattering or being ripped from its hinges and thrown into the room. Luna growled from within. Disorganized hoof falls, some cursing in ancient languages, and an uneven gait let Celestia know her sister was alive.
Sister, why dost thou waken us at such an hour?
Celestia sighed.
Luna, you overslept and forgotten to lower the moon. I had to do your duty for you. Then you have my thanks, dear sister, and if that's all, I shall return to my slumbers.
Twilight ruptured into existence from a teleport, bristling with weapons and magic. Celestia's mask kept her from flinching. Twilight had just managed to smash all of her wards in the area. All alarms from the spells and the potential magic flux the younger Alicorn's entrance had caused was almost an attack on its own. Daybreaker watched from behind Celestia's eyes, noting every spell, every defense. Time and time again, her Warmind raised the threat level an appropriate amount of magic needed to neutralize Twilight as a threat. Daybreaker settled on 3 options if this turned into a lethal fight, and only one of them would leave the city standing. Celestia could feel Daybreaker's appreciation of Twilight rise, carefully regarding her stance, how each part of her body was held. Her Warmind liked what she saw, and unfortunately liked it a little too much for Celestia's taste.
What have you done to Luna?
Twilight demanded, power causing the words to resonate, shaking the world. Twilight's eyes were glaring and glowing white.
Be careful, she holds most of the advantages right now.
Daybreaker purred, complimenting Twilight.
Luna, would you come out here and tell Twilight you simply overslept?
Celestia spoke calmly, only her face and head moving at all.
Why? I am so enjoying her coming to my rescue. Perhaps if I call out for help and claim to be imprisoned, she would burst in and save me.
Luna asked, as teasingly as a tired voice could sound. Daybreaker laughed in her mind, sensing the imminent conflict fade into non-existence.
One way your sister is superior to you is her sense of humor. That was not funny,
Celestia responded.
Yes, it was, and it almost perfectly diffused the situation. Just look at your faithful student now,
Daybreaker commanded. Just like that, the displays of her former students' tremendous arcane might evaporated. There, the armed mare now looked like they were playing with her parents' toys. Twilight looked a bit sheepish regarding her armor and weapons.
Sorry, princess.
She let out a fake laugh.
I seem to have overreacted.
Celestia let herself smile warmly.
Quite. Now, shall we all have some tea before the day starts?
Luna's shadow stepped out of the room. She looked like a mess, her mane almost completely flat, a large part of her magic having been depleted. Celestia could feel it regenerating. In 2 days and 6 hours, she would be fully recovered from blessing her new Knight Chosen. Twilight's desperate embrace of her sister would have definitely been lethal to any pony that was not an alicorn. Man, they really love fucking with Celestia. Jesus, they hammer her almost every chance they got. Anywho, let's get on to our powerful donators. Top donators are 630, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and only one thing. Taco Cat 598, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rollins, Crazy Color 557, Stu Hex, Will, Omicron Lyre, Chris, Twinkie, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hadge, Runescythe 9852, Madman Stan, Leslie Perkett, Drake Lovedragon, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, Line God 12, Sorcerer Constantine, Hot Zaza, Conver, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.